This will be the recording of the audio for the Safety and Security Committee meeting for the Brazosport Independent School District. Today is May 12th, 2025. The time of the meeting will be at 4 p.m. If you, For all the attendees, while we're waiting for the start of the meeting, if you have not already, if you can go into the spreadsheet that was embedded into your calendar invite, I'll also put it in the chat. You should be able to mark yourself present at the meeting on the attendance spreadsheet. So I'll make a copy of the spreadsheet and put it in the chat so you'll be able to do that. That link should be in the in the chat for those that might need it to be able to get in there. If you can just put an X in your name that you're present under the date May 12th, 2025. By my clock, I have 4 o'clock, so we will go ahead and begin with the meeting. If I can hold on 1 second. Can everybody see the screen okay? If somebody can give me a thumbs up. All right, we have it. Perfect. Alrighty. This will be the May 12th, 2025 meeting of the Brazosport Independent School District Safety and Security Committee. This is the last meeting for the current school year, and to begin, this is a regular meeting of the Safety and Security meeting of the Brazosport Independent School District held on May 12, 2025, beginning at 2025 on May 12, 2025, beginning at 4 p.m. This will be a virtual meeting in Google Hangouts. The meeting has met the Open Meetings Act. The meeting acknowledgement and agenda was posted by statutory requirements at the administration building, and it was also posted online at the Brazosport Independent School District underneath the link Safety and Security. The meeting ID is embedded in there. We will begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Then the pledge allegiance to the state of Texas. I pledge allegiance to the flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible. So before we actually begin with the meeting agenda, is there any items or things that anybody needs to bring up for the good of the order? And seeing none in there, I will begin with the meeting itself. To bring you up to date, the Texas School Safety Center, TEA, did an intruder detection audit within the district since the last time we met, and as a result of the schools that they visited, we had 2 findings. And the findings are basically, so you'll see that for the year, we've had 100%, all 17 of our campuses were visited by TEA, and the 2 campuses that had findings were Best Brannon and Brazosport High School. So when you look at that, this is the spreadsheet that shows a check means that the schools did good, and if you got an X, that means the schools had a finding, meaning there was either a door opened, a door mechanically didn't work, or a door was found to be unlocked. And that X next to the school indicates that. And then if you click on the school's name, it'll give you the briefing and the photographs of what the TEA auditor found. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that with you. One finding has already been remediated, and we'll go over that here in the next couple of slides explaining what that process looks like. So at Best Brannon, door number 9, the finding stated that basically that when they went to close this door, right here at the very bottom where you can see my little arrow, there's a little catch that was catching this door from being fully closed on its own when it was opened up. So as a result, even though the door was closed and locked at the time that the TA auditor attempted to get in it, when he went back through to check the door at the 5 degree, 15 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, and fully open, the door would not secure on its own, meaning that that's a mechanical issue, and we got a finding for that. At Brazosport High School, door 45, which is in the theater, the black box area, when the TA auditor walked to this door on the exterior of the door and grabbed this handle and turned it, he pulled it and the door opened, which meant that somebody had unlocked the door, left it unlocked, and thus it was a finding. So, any questions on that? Momentary pause. Moving to, so when we have a finding, these are the remediation processes that are mandated by the TEA and Texas School Safety Center. The campus has to do a live training session with all staff on campus and explain to them how to check and close doors. And then they have to submit their training documents, the names, the training type, the date, and the location to TEA and Texas School Safety Center. Then 2, the campus has to develop a plan of action to improve school safety and security and prevent repeat violations of such. And then once those 2 things are completed and that information is gathered to me, I then have to give it to Mr. Massey and his board of trustees. It has to provide public notice on the board agenda of the trustees, basically stating that the school had a finding, and then that finding has to be discussed in executive session and not out in the open public to give us, compromising situation where folks maybe want to try to access our campuses. And then the fourth and final piece is the review of the findings have to be discussed to the Safety and Security Committee to give them the information that this has occurred and these are the remediation things that we've done to rectify that problem. So those 2 happen after January until today. So we're giving you that information today to meet the 4th point. And then the 3rd point, the notice to the public, will be given at the May 19th Board of Trustees meetings here at the administration building. So we got to report to them we had 2 findings. So for Best Brannon, they remediated their training on February the 4th, 2025. They did their live training done on March 25th during the staff meeting. Ms. Grill then implemented a plan to retrain all staff and students on the importance of ensuring our exterior doors are closed and locked, and the plans calls for the doors to be checked multiple times a day by the level 3 safety specialist that we have on that campus, and he is he is responsible for documenting that to ensure that there's not a reoccurrence. Door number 9, notice of discussion of Board of Trustees meeting was done on March 24th, 2025, so that was given to the board at that time, and they discussed it in executive session. And then the findings for the remediation, what was done, is being given to you today. So we have the presentation and the documentation that they did. For that has already been submitted to TEA and Texas School Safety Center, and they gave us a thumbs up that it met all their requirements, so we're good to go with that one. On the Brazosport High School, they had their finding that took place on May 1 of 2025, which is a couple weeks ago. And as a result of that door being opened, Mr. Virgil, during his staff training on May 8th and May 9th of 2025, he retrained all his staff on the proper procedures for closing doors and making sure that they're locked. He then implemented a plan to retrain all the staff, and then has set up a cross-function training and accountability measure with his level 3 and level 2 safety specialists. Before this finding, there was one individual that was responsible for checking the doors that was found unlocked. So now what they are doing now is there's 3 safety specialists on that campus. Each one of them, in addition to checking their own doors, will also check their colleagues' doors to have redundancy, to make sure it's getting checked 3 times by the 3 safety specialists multiple times a day to ensure that there's not another violation. The findings of this remediation on door 45 has been scheduled for the public notice and discussion at the Board of Trustees meeting on May 19th, 2025. And once that is complete and I have the agenda from that meeting, all that information will be sent to TEA and the Texas School Safety Center for their review, and hopefully they will give us a green light that we're cleared with the remediation processes for that one. But in the meantime, I'm making notice to you today, the Safety and Security Committee, that we did have the finding on door 45. Mr. Virgil has remediated the training with staff. We identified the individual whose door that was a responsibility for, and we will be looking at consequences for not following through the procedures. Any questions on that? And the teacher who left the door unlocked.
Hello, Ty. I just have one simple question. On some of these doors that find themselves open like this, are there occasions where this is a repeat door that's being opened, or is this like once in a blue moon, this back door and stuff?
This door was just a once. In my understanding, we're still under investigation. They had some kind of function going on, and they used that door and they keyed it down to let students out to decorate some items that they were using for prom or some kind of activity they had, and they just failed to lock the door back. So this one was not a repeated, even though this is the third time we've had a finding at Brazosport. It's the first two were mechanical issues. This one was human error.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Brandon's was also not a repeat. It was a one-time.
Yes, Brandon was a one-time, and it was a mechanical issue, and that door had just been checked prior to TA showing up, and it's just one of those things where between the barometric pressure and the heat on the outside, the door just didn't close all the way. So, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the next one. So for the Texas School Safety Center requires that all the campuses go through a safety and security audit, which is done by outside individuals from the district and with help and assistance from the safety and security team. For this year, and this is the first year in the 3-year cycle that we have to go through. So we did the first 6 campuses, and I'm happy to report that all the campuses audits are complete, and that all the issues that were identified were minor mechanical issues on the campuses, not just with the doors, but other mechanical issues that affect safety and security. And all of those things have been remediated, and we are in compliance with TEA's standings. Any questions on that one? Mr. Whitehead, if you can do me a favor, if you can kind of watch the chat, there's some folks who are trying to get admitted, and I'm trying to keep up with them and keep this thing moving at the same time, if you don't mind. Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next slide. So remember that we also got audited by TEA. They did the entire district. They did what's called a district vulnerability assessment, and out of that assessment, we had some minor issues that were found, and I reported to you at the last meeting. This is an update on that. So the doors and the door closures, all the issues that were identified have been completed. On the SPAT protocols, which is the Silent Panic Alert Technology, which is our Centegix 3-push and 8-push badge, we have fully integrated into the new and the latest version of the system, and it is that update is complete. On the, I told you about the bullet resistant films, the requirement that you had to have them on all entry points and then all windows and doors next to those entry points. I'm happy to report that all of those have been completed except for the exception of Stephen F. Austin. With the school potentially initially closing, we did not complete that one, but since the school has been identified that it is remaining open, the company ADS, American Defense Solution, is currently on site today completing all those windows and doors with the bullet resistant film, so that project will be complete by the end of the day. We had a couple areas that needed peepholes. When you had doors, classroom doors that were solid and did not have a peephole in it, that was identified, and that project is complete. on the door numbering. We had to go back through and not only have all the exterior doors numbered in sequential order, starting at one being the first door in the building, then going clockwise all the way around to the last door. The issue was on the interior, there's a fire code requirement that you have to have that same door numbering at the bottom of the door, opposite the hinge, in a contrasting color. So that project is complete at all our campuses. The other issue, they were worried about students getting onto the roof and maybe that having mental issues or having behavioral issues, may want to get up on top of the roof and harm themselves. And there was a requirement that we had to put. Initially, they said just clips to clip the latch off so they couldn't get it. They changed their mind and said it had to be padlocks. So we now have padlocks on all roof accesses at all of our campuses. That process is complete. The other issue was we had to have a good cause exception to not having an armed law enforcement, the police officer on every campus. The district got that waiver, and we have level 3 safety specialists at most of all of our campus. We have them at the 8 elementary campuses. There's an armed safety specialist, and then we have 9 level 3s at our secondary campuses. And then the Knox boxes, which we talked about, have to be at the entry points for law enforcement to be able to get into the facility in a case of an emergency. And inside of that box, which is on the exterior of the building, at an entry point, it has the swipe card for the building and the master keys for that building. The boxes are in. Mr. Bogle and his team for maintenance and operation are going around and strategically securing those boxes to all of our 17 campuses, and that project should be completed by the summer before school starts back. Secured fencing, again, TA required that if we had secured fencing around our facilities, that it either had to be 6 foot high with non-scalable material, or it had to be 8 foot high without non-scalable material. All the campus administration, working with their leadership team and with the tremendous work from the maintenance and operations shop, all of our campuses are now in the process of getting secured fencing. Some of them had secured fencing, but because of the grant money that we had, the campuses identified other areas within their facilities that they wanted to change, put fencing around, and because we had the funds to do it, we're now probably $212,000 plus in fencing, that upgradings that we're doing at most of the campuses. And just for an instance, like Lake Jackson Intermediate had, off of the cafeteria, they had a big, large grassy area with picnic tables, but they were, concerned about having the kids out there for lunch, so we fenced that area in. So now it's a secured area, and during the lunchtime, they can have the exterior lunch doors open and unlocked, and the students can go out there and get some fresh air and in a secured area. So that's just one of the projects we got going. Any questions on that one? And then the final piece is the Open Gate, the new state-of-the-art metal detector systems have been purchased. We purchased 3 sets, and currently they're in use at Brazosport High School. When we bought them, we tested them at Brazosport, we tested them at Brazos Wood, and given the volume and the use of being done, they were stationed at Brazosport High School. Any questions on that one? Moving to the next one. So to give you an update on our safety team, like I say, right now we have, thanks to Mr. Massey and the Board of Trustees, we have 17 level 3 security guards that are armed, and the vast majority of them usually either come with a law enforcement background, military background, or a security background, and just in the essence to make sure the staff and students are keeping up on their marksmanship. We take them to the range. We were able to get all of them a yearly membership at Big Country, which is off of 2004, which they paid for, and I was able to negotiate with the owners of the company. They only charged them a fraction, a third of the normal cost, so they pay $100, and they can go shoot 7 days a week at their leisure to make sure they keep their skills up. And it's my ask and request of them, even though I can't mandate it, that they try to do so at least once a month, and the 17 that we have are facilitating that. And this is just giving you a picture of them actually, working together as a team, making sure that those that need additional assistance and training are getting it. And all of us are just making sure that we're on point, that if we have to engage a bad guy to come to our campus, that we're ready to do business. And then we also do classroom training on de-escalation, which you'll see here at the bottom in the middle, showing that we're also doing training, trying to remind them that we do work in the school environment, and working in the school environment there are certain expectations as far as how we engage and manage kids that are in crisis. So, any questions on that? Oops. So we would not be remiss if we didn't bring our police. And police are at our secondary campuses, and one of the things that we identified is we were able to get them shields, ballistic shields that are rated for, to stop rifle rounds. And the goal is we want to make sure that they're ready and able to use those shields. So Chief Nichols and his trainers have taken his staff out to either live fire at the range or on exchange days, using them in a classroom setting to let them know that it's a little bit different, shooting a handgun or a rifle, while you're trying to manipulate a shield to make sure that you're covered and you can engage the bad guy. And again, the safety specialists are going through the exact same thing, using the same shields, because on most of the campuses where they're at, the shields are there, and if the police officer can't get to it, they can get to it, and they're trained in the same fashion. So if we have to stack on a room, we all know what each other is going to do. Any questions on that one? Seeing none. All right, I am happy to report.
Wait, I do have a question on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. So, did the level 3s, maybe I missed it, did the level 3s have access to the shields as well?
At the elementary campuses, currently, no, there are no shields at the elementary campuses, but the 9 that are at the secondary, they have the ability to get it from the police offices if something happens.
Okay.
That's a good question, but yeah. So my goal is, I hope we're getting, I'll talk about that one here in a second. My goal is to try and get level 3's shields here in a second. I'll explain that one to you. The next one's up. I'm happy to report that Lake Jackson Intermediate was the last school that we needed to train to meet the House Bill 496 requirement for Stop the Bleed training. Our team was able to take care of that one. So this year, all the 7th graders have been trained. The ones that were there in the Stop the Bleed protocol. So next year, all we have to do is train the new 7th graders that move up to 7th grade at Freeport Intermediate, Lake Jackson Intermediate, and Clute Intermediate. Questions on that? Seeing none. So one of the other things that Texas School Safety Center requires is that we do drills. We have to do 1 secure drill, 2 lockdown drills, 1 evacuation drill, 1 shelter drill, hazmat, 1 shelter drill, weather in place, and 4 evacuation drill, fire drills during the year. And I'm happy to report that all the campuses, to include the administration building and the TRC, has complied with those requirements. Next up, I want to talk about the silent panic alert upgrade a little bit. So we went through and changed the entire system out to the newest version. Technology is always changing, so we were able to use the grant to keep up with that. And once they got all the actual backbone in place, we did an audit of all our facilities and found that the Centegix had missed some places where they needed to put strobes. Because part of the contractual agreement that I agreed with them was that they were going to put a strobe in every space in our facilities. And when we went back and inspected every space in our facilities, we had spaces that were missing strobes. So we had them do it. We did a punch list with all our campus leaderships and administrators at all the facilities, identified that. We sent that to Centegix, and they brought a team out here about 2 weeks ago, and they walked all of our facilities and put the strobes and other things that we needed in place. So I'm glad to report that's complete. Fencing and cameras are ongoing using the grant funds that we have as they are identified by the campus administrations to ensure that we give them the things that they need to make their campus safe. We had the first level 3 that we employed at a elementary campus was promoted and moved over into a police officer position to work for Chief Wade. That individual at the moment is still at Lanier because the training for his replacement has not fully taken place, and we don't want to remove him until we have a gun that's on Lanier's proper. So that officer will probably be there through the end of the year, and then starting next year he'll be assigned to Brazosport High School. And then based on Mr. Massey and Ms. Neighbors' approval, we have moved several level 2s up to level 3 and added them to the campuses. So to give them additional guns. Any questions on that? Alright, the next one I want to bring up to speed is on the BDA project. I kind of told you about this before, and just to give for those that may have forgot, BDAs is, we have reception issues inside of some of our facilities based on how the construction was made. Meaning that in an emergency, sometimes police radios can't get into the building, or they can't transmit out of the building, or staff members' cell phones won't work in the building, or police officers' phones won't work in the building. So we're putting bi-directional amplifiers in place. The project completion date on the contractors that are doing that for us is 7/31 of 2025. That was the initial contract date that we agreed upon based on the requirements for the grant that we got from Cycle 1, but that Cycle 1 grant has now been extended out to April 21st of 2027. But we told the vendors their completion date is still 7/31/2025. So we're going to hold them to that date to make sure that they get those things in. And I'm happy to report the progress report on that right now Brazos Wood High School is about 84% complete on the BDA portion. Right now, TRC is 100% complete. Administration building is 100% complete. Lake Jackson is 100% complete. O.M. Roberts is 100% complete. T.W. Aug is 100% complete. Brazosport High School, Gladys Polk is about 90% complete. Brazosport Boydell is about 75% complete. The only one that's been put on hold right now at 33% is the maintenance and transportation and ops building, because they're doing a reconstruction on that. So that's on hold for the moment. And when I say complete, that's just the BDA radio portion of it. And by complete, that just means the equipment has been installed and everything is ready to turn on. The only thing we're waiting on, it has to be commissioned. In order to do that, we've got to bring the Harris County Sheriff's Department down that runs the radio system for this region down to commission it and say that it's all meet their standard, and then they can flip the switch on, and then everybody's radio should work. Public safety in the buildings. And this is what it kind of looks like. The one here on the white, that's the big antenna that's going to push the signal in and out from inside the building. This is just a reading of the conduit wires and all the Cat 5 cables that they've had to pull to make this thing back to these boxes that's going to make this system work. And then on top of the buildings, there's this big antenna, which is the piece that's going to push the information, pull it out, pull it into the building, and then push it out. And this is just another configuration that in some facilities where we get like the gym areas, they're putting these containers around it to make sure that the thing is safe and it doesn't get hit by a ball. That's what the system on the inside looks like. And this sideways picture is just a rendition of the cables that they run across the roof and how they secure it to make sure it gets to the antenna and to this red box on the inside to make this whole system work. So it's a process, and these guys, right now we've got 6 teams that are at our facilities every night just doing this. And some of them's going to be 80 days to get it done, but we're going to keep pushing them until they get it done right. So let me go back to that. Any questions on the BDA and the cellular system? Once they finish the BDA system, then they're going to go back through, because they have to do a separate system for the cellular system. They got to put a similar cone or antenna on the inside that kind of looks like that other one, but it's a lot smaller to pull the cellular signal in. And again, we will only be doing AT&T and their subsidiaries, and then we'll be doing Verizon and their subsidiaries.
Hi, this is Steve Solis.
Yes, sir.
Kind of
we're putting this in across the school district. Once it's up and running, what kind of program we have to make sure if there's a breakdown and repair strategy, do we have a contract with the company that installed it that's going to do that, or does that go into, how are we paying for that service, or what do we do in that space?
Yeah, we've got I think it's a 2-year warranty on the system, and then after that there was a contractual fee for them to do the maintenance and the operations for us. The district at this point, given the financial constraints, chose to not take that service, but have it as an option if our funding stream becomes more available down the road, or if I find additional grant funding that would allow to pay for that. For right now, it only allows for the installation, but it does not require for the maintenance and upkeep. But I am working with the MCA, the vendor, to have a strategy of how we, test this system monthly to ensure that it is doing the things that it's supposed to do and it's functioning correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. That was a great question. Any other questions?
Mr. Morrow, Joe Bogle, can I add something to that?
Yes, sir. You may, Mr. Bogle.
So all of our BDA systems, it's required for them to be integrated into our already pre-installed notifier system. So any issues that we do have that come from that system, it's notified at campus almost immediately. And then somebody from our maintenance team, our technology team, will be able to go out and assess the situation. Once the 2-year contract does lapse, within that 2 years, we'll be able to set up basically the proper teams that we're going to need to actually go in and initiate any repairs that come with the notifier system that they're attached to. That gives us a good idea of where an issue will lie, because just like our installed fire alarm systems, the BDA system, it's all monitored, the health of the system, so we'll be able to get at those quickly. We're not going to have, or we shouldn't have, an instance where the system is down for any extended amount of time.
Thank you, Mr. Bogle. That's a great answer. I appreciate that. All right. Hearing any other questions before I move? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next. So the new projects we're looking at, after the 9/11 event in New York, the U.S. federal government set up a system that's called FirstNet. And FirstNet is a radio frequency that is strictly for public safety, because in the event of emergency, the first thing that goes down is radio communications, because everybody's jamming the system, and your cellular service, because everybody's using it. So FirstNet is a project where all first responders have the ability to be at the top tier of the radio frequencies in this region, and if there's an emergency, then we have the availability to get on it and use it to manage that system. So I've been in contact with FirstNet, and we've gotten 6 of their portable radios, and we're basically just testing them out to see if they add functionality to the system we currently already have. And if so, then we will be looking for grant funding to see if we can at least get that system in place for the key leaders in the district for use during emergencies. So right now we're just piloting that, free of charge, to see if it works for us or not. Second piece that is up, as a result of the shooting that took place, and I believe it was Pasadena, with an Angleton band director that was shot by a stranger, just random circumstances. The district has committed that they have now staffed that we at all after-school events that are open to the general public, not the parents, but the general public, including sporting events, fine arts events, and any campus events after school, that there will be an armed safety specialist or armed police officer at that facility to stand guard over the staff and the students to ensure their safety. So that's an ongoing process that the safety team has taken up. We've been doing it for a little more than about a month and a half or 2 since that shooting, and we're getting most every game or event covered. So that's a process ongoing. Third piece, the COPS grant for 2025-2026 just came out, and we have a preliminary meeting with my grant writer to see if we can go after some of the critical things that we need that we were unsuccessful in getting in the recent bond that just failed. So the goal is to, identify some key components on safety and security things that we need, like cameras and servers and access control points, and see if we can get those funded through that way. And currently the grant amount, if awarded, is up to $500,000. So we're trying to go after that. Any questions on that one?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The after-school events, does that include elementary?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I haven't heard any feedback from them. Have they had armed staff at their after-school events, or should they be scheduling that with somebody? Or?
Yes, we've been doing those at the elementaries. Yes, we have, and
Okay.
they've been coordinating that with either Mr. Senior Officer Roy Davison or Level 3 Safety Coordinator Mike Cooper.
On their campuses, okay.
Yeah, on their campuses. Now, what we've told the secondary campuses that if you have an event at your campus, then your first choice or use is your police officer or your Level 3 there, and then if they can't do it, let that team know, and then we'll reach out to all the other police officers and safety specialists, and we will get it covered.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Great questions. Hearing none. So right now, Cycle 1 grant, we still are trying to identify $4.5 million that we need to spend. So, that's a good position to be in. So, we're constantly working with the administration team and the campus leadership to identify gaps that they're seeing, and we're trying to make sure that it applies to the Cycle 1 grant. There's certain things you can only use it for, so we're trying to use that money up because the goal is to, identify all the areas and not get any of that money back the best we can. We got to 2027 April to get it spent, so we're going to work on that. And then that's all I got, so we'll throw it to the group, see if there's any questions anybody has, or let me see if there was any questions thrown in the chat. Nope, not seeing any in the chat. Is there any questions or statements, Ms. Cundiff, Deputy Superintendent, or Mr. Whitehead?
None for me, thank y'all so much.
Okay. Any questions from the group? Okay, hearing none, I think I'll be a good steward of your time, and I won't keep you any longer. I appreciate your attending. Right now, we have not selected the dates for next school year. As soon as we get closer to the school year, I will send you a calendar invite as a hold with the calendar dates for the rest of the school year next year. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a great summer, and we will see you sometime in either late August or early September. And God bless to all of you. Take care.